Welcome back everyone, this will be my full DC Peacemaker episode 5 video. There were a whole bunch of Easter eggs, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. And careful for spoilers if you have not seen the episode yet, we'll be talking about everything. I'll just start at the beginning of the episode and we'll go through scene by scene talking about Easter eggs, WTF moments, and what they're setting up for the finale. Starting with the episode title. Monkey Dory, a play on the phrase hunky-dory, old-timey slang for everything is okay, but also a reference to the gorilla, the talking gorilla. I know everybody's wondering, is that a Gorilla Grodd Easter egg? Is that who that's meant to be? It's them paying off Charlie the gorilla, the Easter egg from the earlier episode that escaped from the zoo. They turned it into a butterfly, and because of the strength multiplier that people get when they become butterflies, this sort of stacking bonus the gorilla gets makes it crazy powerful. But you can't introduce a talking gorilla into the DCEU without thinking of Gorilla Grodd. So you could think of it as a subtle wink at Grodd, but if they're gonna do Grodd in the DCEU, actually like full-blown Grodd, it would probably be inside one of the Flash movies. The actual opening scene is Peacemaker making himself a hangover drink the next morning because he got so wasted. Him pouring the alien honey into the jar for the butterfly is his version of doing it another solid, like he got it high last night for free. Here's a freebie for you. Now he's giving it its version of a hangover drink. Eagerly leaves him another present of a dead animal just like he did in episode 1 to make him feel better. He is a good boy. The eagle clearly cares about him like a more intelligent version of a dog or a cat. There are also some theories I have after the end of the episode too, because they set this whole idea up that butterflies can be any kind of animal too, so they might have some huge twist in the future. Early theory that Eagly also winds up being a butterfly. Amanda Waller checks back in with Leota, pressuring her to plant the copy of Peacemaker's diary in his mobile home, which she does at the end of the episode. And everyone's still wondering, why is Amanda Waller doing that? What's in the diary that she needed so bad that she stole it, copied it, and wants to plant a fake where he won't find it? Although it seems like the detectives that are getting the warrant will bust into his mobile home and they'll wind up finding the diary, so that might come back to bite him in the ass without him even realizing it. I think the reason why Amanda Waller wants it hidden inside his mobile home is so that he won't find it and then realize that Amanda Waller stole his journal. The only thing that I can think of right now that his diary might contain is information about his father, White Dragon. Maybe Amanda Waller wants his technology or is monitoring him for some reason. Or she might just want his journal because it could contain secrets that could link things back to her. So she's just trying to erase any kind of paper trail leading back to her. When Myrn gives his briefing about the billionaire Alan Cooperberg, that name is actually an Easter egg for a real-life DC Comics artist who's worked with Neil Adams, done a bunch of Justice League, Firestorm, other DC Comics in the past, even some Marvel X-Men comics, just a whole bunch of stuff. The pop singer Vandalia isn't meant to be a comic book character, but there is a Wildstorm character named Vandalia, and Wildstorm was kind of integrated into the DC universe a while ago. He claims that their death a year ago in the timeline was the first known case of butterfly parasites. That puts it around the same time the events of the Suicide Squad movie were happening when they went to Corto Maltese. So you have to imagine Amanda Waller is learning about the butterflies around the time she's starting to deal with the Starro problem. I think they also imply that the butterflies have been on Earth for much longer, it's just that that's the first time that they detected them. And since last year, they said they've been finding more and more butterflies in powerful, important figures all over the world because now they know what to look for. Celebrities, politicians, powerful people in all areas of modern culture. Love all the jokes about John Economos going way overboard with his PowerPoint tutorial, animating the butterflies going in people's butts, like that's something that he just did on his own.
They go through the butt?
The butt is an orifice, okay?
We'll call that the butterflies pulling a Thanos. Which definitely takes you back. One of my most fun things about the whole Avengers Endgame rollout, all the interviews the Russos and Kevin Feige did, all the Marvel people, was seeing them try to answer Thanos questions, which they eventually did, and it was amazing. What if Ant-Man went up Thanos' butt and just made himself bigger? Peacemaker implies Superman has a poop fetish because he's an alien, as if all aliens are like that. And remember, this is inside the DCEU, so he's talking about Henry Cavill's Superman. Funny side note too, if Superman actually focused, he could hear Peacemaker doing him dirty like this all the way from Metropolis on the other side of the United States. The joke about him learning all these Superman facts on Google is just a callback to the Aquaman jokes from episode 1, Aquaman having sex with fish, that he read on social media. The whole idea is that everything he reads on social media, like Twitter, he believes, no matter how outlandish it sounds. He's just that much of a summer child that he believes everything he reads online is the truth. They confirmed the Glentie Bottling Company is the place where the butterflies are making their honey-like food source, which they say scientifically doesn't resemble any known substance on Earth. They also imply that the actual source of the honey itself is not the plant, so that means the honey itself is coming from somewhere else that they have to find. The fact the company was created in 1979 might be an Easter egg for a DC Comics event, or it could just be someone's birthday. Usually dates and numbers are Easter eggs for something. The 1542 number on Annie Sturphausen's worker badge is another reference to the Green Lantern comics for Sector 1542. It appeared during the Kyle Rayner run. It's just a planet named Oroxe. It's a very strict religious-based society, but that's about it. There have been a bunch of Green Lantern Easter eggs in the series so far, so they might use the Peacemaker series to help set up the Green Lantern HBO series that's premiering next year in 2023. Then Peacemaker goes on his most epic of rants about all the celebrities that he can think of that John Economos could have put in prison instead of his father, and it just goes on and on and on. They even use the post-credit scene for a longer version of it.
Optimus Prime, Shipwreck, Cobra Commander, cunts from Riverdale!
And he did not have to go that hard on the Riverdale characters. Noted, Peacemaker is not a fan of Riverdale. Vigilante lets us know he's a huge Fargo fan and reveals he didn't go through puberty till he was in his mid-20s. Then Peacemaker's father gives him up to the detectives, and they set up this whole arc where Amanda Waller sends in another mercenary to keep him in prison, just further setting up White Dragon as a villain to go after Peacemaker and the team. Like, as much as they have this plot with the butterflies, I think the big twist of the series is that by the finale, the biggest battle that they fight will actually be Peacemaker versus his father. Or at least that'll be the most impactful, most emotional fight. The big butterfly payoff will probably be some cool deep cut from the DC Comics mythology. But they've just done way more to set up what's going on with Peacemaker's father in that conflict than they have with the butterflies. Like, we know way more about what's going on with White Dragon than the butterflies at this point. And there are only a couple episodes left. Then when they're joking about how much of a bully Peacemaker is, I love the way Leota calls him out for staring at dudes' dongs way too much. Like, wait a minute, you just stand around looking at everyone's junk? What? Then they reveal that someone really high up in the government keeps blocking all official police action in agencies against butterfly-related stuff, confirming that people in the upper levels of the US government are butterflies themselves. They'll probably confirm who it is before the finale. Then they explain that even Amanda Waller, who runs Task Force X, the Suicide Squad program, as a regular Black Ops group, like already it's super shady, has to secretly divert funds to them under the table, under the Suicide Squad table, to avoid any further detection. So they're like a Black Ops group within a Black Ops group. Like, they're dealing with a situation so shady that it has to be more secretive than what happened with the regular Suicide Squad mission to take care of Starro. As crazy as things got with that. There's also another sly reference to Myrn being a butterfly again when Peacemaker says it's the 5 of them against an alien invasion, and Harcourt has to remind him to include Myrn. Like, no, it's 6 of us. Because even though Peacemaker is the biggest monkey brain in there, they keep showing us moments where he just low-key has this savant-like ability to detect things. Like, he has a really good radar for picking up clues like this, even if he doesn't completely realize it at the time. And even though he and John Economos have been going for each other's throats this whole time, they bond completely over this mutual love of hair metal bands like Hanoi Rocks, and they're best friends by the end of the episode. Like, he's closer to John Economos by the end of the episode than he is to Vigilante. They reveal John Economos is this huge stan of Hanoi Rocks. He even has one of their songs tattooed on his arm. And then the song Peacemaker plays in the car right after this is that 11th Street Kids song that he has tattooed on his arm that Harcourt then uses as the name for their little group chat at the end of the episode. They introduce Christopher Heyerdahl's Locke character. You might remember him from the Stargate TV shows. He's not playing someone from the comics, but in the DCEU, in the context of the show, he's just another mercenary working for Amanda Waller who knows Myrn from their earlier days before they both started working for Amanda Waller. When he mentions the jungles of Nyasir, that's a DC Comics jungle region in northern Africa featured in the Superman comics. There was a village there that was burned to the ground after this big military conflict involving a religious group attempting to convert the locals to their faith. So it's implied that Myrn and Locke here were involved in some kind of mass killing incident, some sort of genocidal event where they killed a ton of people. Myrn did say earlier that he was trying to atone for his previous actions in his work for Amanda Waller, and then when he tells Locke's character that he's changed since those events in the jungles, he's also referencing becoming a butterfly. But right now it's not clear whether or not Myrn's butterfly is one of the good butterflies or a bad butterfly, because it does seem like there are different factions of butterflies. Like, why would a butterfly be trying to kill all the other butterflies and get rid of them? The whole idea is that Amanda Waller is bringing in Locke to help Myrn keep White Dragon in prison and from messing their mission up. So they plant him as the new police chief. He swaps the fingerprints, but I think that's only a stall. White Dragon inevitably will get out of prison, suit up in his White Dragon costume, and then go after Peacemaker and the team. When they roll into the factory, notice that Peacemaker has official Dove of Peace symbols on all of his guns this time, meaning that he won't have any kind of panic attacks or mental issues killing any of the butterflies. And he really does rack up a body count, like he enjoys every minute he's in there.
What the hell is that?
It's a grenade I tied to a Russian tank shell.
Why not just the grenade?
Grenade blows up like 2 people.
How many people does this blow up?
I don't know. I invented it this morning.
I'm not sure what this SRT-138 license plate number is meant to be a reference to. It's not Action Comics or Superman, because those issues don't have any connection to the plot of the episode, so if you think you know what this is meant to be a reference to, just write it below in the comments. He brings his X-ray vision helmet so that he can see through the skulls and detect who's a butterfly. They also use this twist later at the end of the episode when Leota puts it on, discovering that Myrn is a butterfly. And as you'd expect, pretty much everybody at the plant is a butterfly. But the way they explain the plant is that it's just there for bottling the honey fluid. They don't actually create the fluid there. They'll have to go find where it's coming from in a future episode. But they do pay off Charlie the gorilla from earlier in the series, like I said, the gorilla who escaped from the zoo. As I said, you could think of him as a Gorilla Grodd Easter egg because, talking gorilla, of course you would think of Grodd, but he's not meant to literally be Gorilla Grodd. Love the way they pay off the chainsaw joke with John Economos saves them by getting Charlie in the back with the chainsaw, officially winning Peacemaker over, if all the Hanoi rocks didn't do it before this. Then the whole thing with the team bonding on the way back, even though they play this like a really positive moment, the group's coming together, Amelia Harcourt takes the picture of them together in the truck, covered in blood, and then calls it the 11th Street Gang after the Hanoi Rocks song. But the thing is that now that there's evidence linking them together, so the actual picture might wind up coming to bite them in the ass in the future. Then back at their base when they're talking about butterflies being any kind of life form, animals too, like I said, I think they'll probably foreshadow a big animal butterfly twist in the future. Worst case scenario would be Eagly winds up being a butterfly. But you can post all your theories in the comments below. What kind of animal butterfly twist do you think we'll see in the future? Leota uses drinks with Peacemaker as an excuse to plant that fake journal. There's a Kite Man Easter egg, which is kind of funny. Peacemaker apprehending him earlier in his career. Kite Man is this obscure Batman villain who most of you have probably seen on the Harley Quinn animated series.
Kite Man. Did I just hear the wind say Kite Man? Check out my apartment number. It was a 66.
Oh, God, you make this so hard.
Oh, hell yeah!
He's meant to be the most ridiculous Batman character ever, and that's the way they play him during that series. He calls his special drink a peace train. It's gin, vermouth, vinegar, peppercorn, maple syrup, and yak butter. Maybe James Gunn will post the full recipe for it online. One of you can try it and leave a comment with how it tastes, because based on their reactions, it looks like it tastes terrible.
Yum.
She plants that fake journal and then discovers Myrn is a butterfly using Peacemaker's X-ray helmet. And the way they play this cliffhanger, they want you to think that Myrn is going to kill her, but clearly he is not. Like, she's the main character, she'll be in all the episodes. Early prediction, the way they play this twist, the way he's looking at her, is that they'll use the payoff for the cliffhanger to reveal the relationships between the different types of butterflies. Like, some of them are bad, some of them are good. Like, why is Myrn a butterfly wanting to get rid of all the other butterflies? It would only make sense if there are different factions of butterfly. And I think the big surprise is that the butterflies themselves will not wind up being the biggest villains. It'll probably wind up being Peacemaker's father, at least in a certain context. But like I said, the post-credit scene is just a longer version of Peacemaker going on the rant, naming off celebrities to put in prison.
Mario, Super Mario, f***ing Luigi, Yoshi, the princess.
He names off a bunch of fast food mascots, Burger King, Grimace, Ronald McDonald, and I love the way they pay this off, where Economos is like, okay, I agree, all those people could go to prison, but not Ariana Grande, never her, as if he stands her more than he stands Hanoi Rocks. If you haven't seen any of the behind the scenes or seen James Gunn talking about the way they film these kinds of scenes, is what he'll do is he'll sit off of screen and just feed lines to John Cena. So when John Cena is ranting all those celebrity names, you have to picture James Gunn speaking into a microphone, kind of giving him all that dialogue on the fly. If you spotted any other Easter eggs in the episode that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. I'll put a link for all my Peacemaker episodes in the description below too. My full Peacemaker episode 6 video and Star Wars Book of Boba Fett episode video will post next week just like normal. Make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss those. Everyone click here for my full Book of Boba Fett episode 5 video, probably the best episode of the series so far, and click here for my new Marvel Secret Invasion first look video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.